It's interesting to me that Rick Scott and all of these MAGA extremists in the House and the Senate proceeded with great urgency throughout the entirety of the first half of this year to pass their one big ugly bill, which included the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. And by the way, I think Rick Scott has some history with Medicaid fraud in the state of Florida, so he's no expert on health care. We ain't going to be lectured by Rick Scott about anything, but certainly not affordable health care, given his track record. But they raced to enact the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, devastated communities all across America where you have hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers closing in real time, including in rural parts of the country. In that same one big ugly bill, they ripped food away from hungry children, seniors, and veterans and enacted a $186 billion cut to SNAP, which also happens to be the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history. And why did the extremists do all of this? So they could pass massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors, and they made those tax breaks permanent. So they spent the first 6 months of this year focused on subsidizing the lifestyles of the rich and shameless in their one big ugly bill, but can't be bothered to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Even now, we're less than 45 days away from those tax credits expiring, and tens of millions of Americans, including in Florida, are about to see their premiums, copays, and deductibles skyrocket in ways that will make their health care unaffordable. So from our standpoint, this is not that complicated. We have a discharge petition. I believe it has north of 200 signatures on it. All we need is 3 or 4 Republicans to join us. And if they did so, we can discharge a bill that would extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for 3 years. Everyday Americans, working class Americans, and middle class Americans deserve the same level of certainty that Republicans decided to provide to their billionaire donors when they enacted these massive tax breaks and then had the nerve to make those massive tax breaks permanent, but can't be bothered to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Now, we're going to work closely with our Democratic colleagues in the Senate on the vote that is scheduled no later than the second week of December on a Democratic proposal related to extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And I expect that we're going to be in alignment. And at this point, Republicans just need to take yes for an answer. Say yes to your constituents who you're jamming up right now and who are about to suffer even more from the Republican health care crisis.
After the blocking of the maps by the federal court in Texas, on the Texas maps, do you expect any change from any of the other states like Virginia in the strategy, or is it like full speed ahead?
Our strategy is full speed ahead. We are not unilaterally disarming. We are not rolling over and playing dead. And we also have no interest in spiking the football. What we are doing is going to make sure that Donald Trump and Republican sycophants are unable to gerrymander the national congressional map in a way that will allow them to rig the midterm elections. We made that clear from the very beginning. And we are not going to take our foot off the gas pedal until we are certain that the American people are guaranteed a free and fair midterm election in November of 2026.
Congressman Byron Baker said that the censure is broken in the House. Do you agree with that conclusion? And do you see a role for yourself and Speaker Johnson to work on kind of reining in the use of it, just given how many we saw this week and the rise in them in recent years?
Republicans have broken the censure in the House of Representatives. It is broken. The extremists have broken it because they have no agenda, no vision, no plans, no legislation to make life better for the American people and address the affordability crisis that's crushing everyday Americans. And so they're obsessed with censures. But what did they not get from the results of them being destroyed across the country? The American people know electorally. The American people know they have no agenda. Why are they doubling and tripling down on this extreme censure approach? It's getting them nowhere. And so we're trying to help them out. Don Byers trying to help them out. Get out of your own way. Now, do I think that Mike Johnson, nice guy, right? But do I think that Mike Johnson has any interest in actually reining in his extreme members? Of course not. He doesn't have any control over them. You know, I think he talked about dignity and decency and things of that nature, and then all we're seeing is Republicans do the exact opposite. It's extraordinary to me. We had patriotic members of the House and the Senate have their lives threatened by Donald Trump in the most unhinged, unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American way. Disgusting and dangerous what Donald Trump has said in accusing patriotic members of Congress and the Senate who served this country well of treason and suggesting they should be killed. That's disgusting. But we, of course, have come to expect this from Donald Trump. What's extraordinary to me is that Mike Johnson doesn't even have the decency to distance himself from Donald Trump's death threats leveled at patriotic members of Congress. Even John Thune found it reasonable for him to say he disagrees with what Donald Trump accused members of Congress of doing earlier today. Even John Thune had the decency to distance himself from Donald Trump's remarks. But Mike Johnson couldn't say a thing about it. And his silence speaks volumes. Thank you, everyone.